What's up guys, Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs, and in today's video we have yet another season review from players that were out on loan from Tottenham Hotspur last year. Now if you haven't seen the previous videos, we have done one for Jamie Donnelly and Josh Keeley, we've done one for Mano Solomon and Ashley Phillips too. So please go and take a look at them if you're interested in how these players got on loan at their respective clubs. Moving on to Yan Min-Hyeok of QPR, I reached out to All About Ours and asked him to provide his feedback on whether this loan spell was a successful or unsuccessful one. How good is Yang? Is he a player that can come in and play for Tottenham Hotspur next season? Or is there still quite a lot of improvement that's required for a player who had quite a lot of hype around his signings, with obviously Spurs fans hoping he could follow in the footsteps of fellow countryman Son Heung-Min. Now, please go into the description box below and follow All About Ours on all of his social medias. And obviously, if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to this channel so that we can bring further and more Spurs content. Thank you very much, and here's All About Ours on his season review of Yan Min-Hyeok.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Riley from All About Ours. I am basically a QPR YouTube channel who vlogs games from all over the country following QPR with my mates. I'm delighted to be here on Spotlight on Spurs today to talk to you guys about the Korean Tottenham player Yan Min-Hyeok, who was on loan at my club Queen's Park Rangers from January to the end of the last campaign. Obviously QPR, when Min-Hyeok first came in that January transfer window, we were sort of in a playoff fighting position, but unfortunately we were dragged back down the league after around March. But thankfully we weren't in any sort of relegation threat. Starting off with him specifically though, you can tell he will be a decent player. You know, he has flair. He's one of those players who always wants the ball in that wing, wants to drive at the opposition's defence. I think the best comparison to him would probably be Doué from PSG. You know, obviously light years away in terms of skill level at the moment, but you can sort of understand the point. Based on his stats, some probably could say he did flop during this loan spell, and it's, to be fair, it's each to their own whether you believe that or not. From a Spurs point of view, I'd probably say not really though. You know, he did only rack up 2 goals and 1 assist in the 14 games he did play in blue and white. But to be fair, this season our stats haven't been great, and they never really are, to be fair. You know, our top goal scorer Michael Frey only has 8 goals and our top assister only has 6. But you'd assume the whole reason Spurs sent Min-Hyeok out on loan to QPR was simply for experience in the English game, and he did somewhat gain that. You could tell he has a technical ability, there's no doubt about that. That's why he's at a club like Spurs in the Premier League in the first place. But physically he does struggle to adapt to the Championship and English men's football as a whole. And if he does play in the Premier League next season, which is very slim anyway, but he will be behind if he does. I'll put the video up on screen now so you guys know what I'm talking about. But one point being was versus Sheffield United at home, where put short, he did too much on the ball in our first half. He lost the physical battle, he lost the ball, and we gave a goal away. And that was probably in a game where we probably should have at least got a point, or at least we could have even won versus a team who are Premier League quality and have Premier League experience, and you know we didn't. Another point being was at Middlesbrough away, when put short, it was probably his worst game in the QPR shirt. You know, to be fair to him, the whole team played awful, but individually it wasn't great. Yeah, he gave the ball away for Tommy Conway to score in, I think, the 10th minute of the game, and they did go on to lead 2-0 for the majority of the game until we got a consolation at the end, but it didn't mean nothing. And after those games, his confidence did sort of drop, which isn't a great sign for Tottenham in all honesty. You know, there is plenty of holes in his game, but he's still very young. He's only 19, and there is room for error, especially when you're on loan at QPR and these smaller clubs. But after that negative period, he did somewhat get better physically. You know, he was actually shifted into a striker position, like versus Oxford, where he actually scored the winning goal and some strike, by the way. He did look like a different player, to be fair, and the way he was running on the ball, it looked promising. And he also did the same versus Bristol City, and that is good because it shows that he's a flexible player in the attack, and that could be beneficial for Spurs in the long run if you are a Spurs fan. It is also worth noting that Yang did come through the door at QPR while we had another fit right winger who has definitely more experience in the game than him, that being Paul Smith, he's taken a lot of stick from QPR fans this season, which I personally don't agree with. But so when Yang came through the door, it was sort of like a breath of fresh air. The first time we actually saw Yang in action was Millwall away on the 1st of February, where he came on for the last 25 minutes and he was brilliant. You know, he created a lot of chances in the final third. He got the ball up, he got the crowd pumping, and it was like we were going to have a starman on our hands for the rest of the season. But when you actually compare our 2 right wingers, Yang and Paul Smith, they actually play pretty similar, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for Yang, but you would hope that he has something different to offer opposed to the man who he's fighting for that starting position. And another point worth noting is that I'm pretty sure Yang actually hasn't had a proper break from footballing over a year and a half. From the time that Tottenham signed him from Gang One, he only had a three-week period where he didn't play after the Korean League ended, and so after he joined Spurs, he played straight away, for the academy team, I'm pretty sure. And then after for about 3 weeks again, he was shipped straight to West London, where he was played quite a lot. So some could say he hasn't actually caught a break, and that means there is room for error, especially when you are only 19. So a full summer and a full pre-season is much deserved for the lad, and I think if he does re-sign here next season, he'll be a heck of a player. Even if he does drop down to League One or League Two, I think he'd be brilliant at it. He'd probably be one of the league's best players, and he would shine there. Would I take Yang back next season, though? I'm not too sure. We now do have two wingers in Harvey Vale from Chelsea, who does look very good and very promising. He did also play in the Conference League for them versus Shamrock Rovers last season, and obviously Paul Smith. However, with the rumours of Cifuentes leaving W12, I doubt he will return anyway. But yeah, that does pretty much do it. There's not a heck of a lot to really sum up during his loan spell here. In the 14 games he did play, 7 of those he didn't even play for more than 45 minutes. But yeah, like I said, I have tried to sum up his loan spell at Loftus Road to the best of my ability. I'd say to Spurs fans not to worry too much. He's still very young. He's still developing as a player, and once he gets that physical attribute he is missing, he'll be a heck of a player. He's very quick on the ball, he's very direct with his play, so yeah, don't worry too much. But yeah, I've been Riley from All About Ours. Thanks for watching. All of my information is in the description down below. I'm sure Luke will want me to tell you to like this video and subscribe to his channel. But yeah, thanks for watching.